Today I want to talk about life experiments as a vehicle to make behavior change. So how can you design, like in science, an experiment in your life to find out if a certain change you make to your routine, to your habits, how you handle sleep, how you handle exercise, the substances you're consuming, maybe cigarettes, maybe drinking coffee, caffeine, and creating a container that allows you to understand how that change impacts your life. Because if there is no container, there's one thing that's from Jim Quick, and he said, if a person doesn't have a clear time when they're going to do something, and there was like research on that, there was a study on that, then they're not going to do it. If you want to do something, you schedule it in your calendar. And there is research, there is a study where they looked at people who, they were a long time out of the job market, right? People who are having difficulty to integrate into society, and they had to write a job application. And they split them in two groups. One group, they had like a training in whatever in the facility, and they went out, they gave them, just write this, right? Just write this job application. A lot of them, they didn't do it. But the second group, they told them, choose a time when you're going to write the job application. And they had to choose a time basically in their calendar, choose a day, decide specifically. And of that group, a much higher percentage actually completed it, which goes to prove that when we have specificity with what we want, it increases our chances of executing, of making that happen. Because the brain is always looking to fulfill the thing we paint with our thoughts, basically. And often we don't notice that. We're like, no, my life is shit, right? Sometimes we might feel like that. No, this has gone to shit, whatever, right? Hopefully your life is not shit, If your life is shit, I'm so sorry, do something about it, right? But when we have this clarity, our brain, our mind tries to fill that out, tries to make that happen in reality. And if we don't have that clarity, if you have a negative outcome, if we are visualizing a negative outcome, Anthony Robbins, he talks a lot about that. He says it's one of the biggest lessons when he was learning to drive race cars, to not look into the wall. If you lose control of the car, that can happen, right? You're driving. I'm not a race car driver. I have no idea how that works, but he was doing it, and he was telling that story. I found it a great story. When you lose the control of the car because you're very fast, you're making a strong turn, right? And the contact with the ground, it's not so good, or there's like oil on the ground, or it's very wet, right? So you lose contact, and you're like, shit, I'm driving at the wall and I can't steer the car, and you panic, right? And what his instructor told him is you cannot look at the wall. If you look at the obstacle at the wall, you're going to drive into that. But you have to look in the direction where you can drive, where there's no obstacle. So the same with the goals. So that's I think one reason why it's so impactful when we have a clear idea of where we want to go. And we're harnessing that power or that principle by designing life experiments. Because if you say, oh yes, I want to quit smoking, at some time, I'm gonna quit smoking. Yeah, that's like people who say, oh yeah, I'm gonna lose weight eventually, right? And they never make it happen. It never happens because there's no specificity. There's no, I'm gonna do this at this time, by this, point in time, a structure, some clarity that helps us to make that happen. Maybe for some people it works if they're like, yes, summer is coming, I'm so fat, I don't like myself, I want to lose weight, so I have the body for the beach. And that works for some people. And I think the reason also why that works is we have this clear image. I'm on the beach, I'm very very muscular, very slim, feeling good about myself. It's a clear goal and it's powerful. It's starting to rain, by the way. Hopefully it's not gonna rain very hard. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to explain to you how I do these experiments. And one experiment I started right now because I was looking at my sleep scores over the last weeks, last months even, and they were not that good. Like I have this ring, Aura ring, I'm tracking my sleep. And I was like, no, the sleep score is not impressive. It's not good. I need to do something about this. And I really like coffee, but it leads to days where I just work 8 hours straight. Like my brain is already very obsessive. And when I drink coffee, that just gets stronger, you know. So I need to be careful. I can't sleep if I drink too much coffee. So I decided, I was talking to my AI companion with the ring, you know, there's an app, they did an AI companion, which was pretty shitty for some time. It was like very generic and I was like, no, this is useless, but it's getting better. It has access to a lot of my health data, which is delightful for me. For some people that's concerning. I don't really mind. I'm happy if it can give me information. And I looked at the trends and I realized I really need to shift my bedtime window when I go to bed, when I stop working, and I need to shift my caffeine consumption. Like I've done like a 14-day time without caffeine. My sleep was much better, but then I started drinking coffee again. I was like, oh yeah, let's just have a coffee here. Tastes really good. Oh, I'm so feeling so awake, so joyful. Also makes my mood kind of like, makes me very elated, right? I have a strong reaction to coffee. And then I started drinking it again. Like very subtle. It kind of sneaked its way into my life, like through the back door. So now I'm recognizing that this is bad. It has a negative effect on my productivity and I really need to fix this. So the way I'm doing that is similar to the time I did it before when I did I think it was a 12-day without caffeine experiment. And this time it's going to be about, I'm going to kick caffeine and I'm going to look at my sleeping and my work stop and my, okay, in order, no caffeine in the morning or throughout the day. Second thing, in the evening, got to stop working at a fixed time so I don't overwork myself. And then I'm going to go to bed at a set time. And also digital sunset, right? Stopping the screens before bed because the screens make us awake. Work makes us awake in the evening. It's not so good. So I'm going to track all of these. And in conjunction with those, I'm going to track my sleep, my biometrics. I'm going to see, okay, what's the resting heart rate doing? What's the sleep doing? How much deep sleep? Yes, I know with an asterisk. It's not completely accurate. You know, maybe in a sleep lab, it's more accurate. I used to be very disappointed by that. I was like, no, but I need the exact data. Well, even if I can see that there is a positive impact from shifting my habits, it's going to encourage me, or you, if you're doing an experiment, it's going to encourage you to keep going. So it's valuable data. And if you don't have any tracker, you can simply write it down. So experiment goes like this. You identify what behavior in your life is sabotaging you. Like if you're listening right now and it's still raining, if you're listening right now and you're like looking at your life, the habits you have, maybe it's sleep, maybe it's exercise, where you feel like this thing, if I would stop that thing or if I would start doing that thing, that would really help me, right? Like some foundational thing, but it can be anything. And then you ask the question, if I were to change that, what areas of my life would be affected by that change? So let's say you start doing exercise, right? And you're usually very sluggish. After work, you're like feeling exhausted, right? And you start doing more exercise. You might see higher levels of energy when you do more exercise. Or with the sleep, you know, you start dialing in your sleep. And in the morning, when you wake up, you used to feel really groggy. You used to feel like moody, depressed, or you have an afternoon like your energy tanks, it crashes. So you write those things down and you track them, right? You have a clear goal. The goal is, I'm gonna do 30 minutes of exercise 3 times a week, for example. Or I'm gonna be in bed by 10 p.m. 5 days a week or 7 days a week, ideally. It's like not very party friendly, I know, but it's good. Sleep is good, sleep is important. You can also celebrate during the daytime if you have the right people who also enjoy that. And then you track those two in conjunction. You look at the thing that you're gonna change, what specifically are you gonna do, and below this post on X, I'm actually gonna put in the photo of how I'm tracking it, just using a piece of paper with a grid, a few lines, and tracking like what I just said, the bedtime, no caffeine, it's just an X, right? And when I stop working, when I turn off my devices, like the most important points, and I gotta hurry up to get across this street here. And then I track in connection with that my sleep score. For me, it's my sleep score because that gives me a very scientific, we can even say, way of measuring that. Like I said, if you don't have a device to track your sleep, you can simply notice if you're working with sleep, right? You can notice your energy level in the morning, 1 to 10. You can write down your mood in the morning, 1 to 10, right? And you can do a 1 week without it. You just record your mood, then you do it for a week. Or you just do it and you record it. You're like trying to notice how it is impacting you, how this shift in behavior is impacting the results you're getting. Also with sleep, it might be energy. You feel more energetic or you get more work done. And the fact that you're writing it down, it encourages you to think about those things, like how is this affecting me, what I'm doing. And also by writing it down, you will see, oh, I followed the experiment. I followed the protocol I set up for myself. And you're going to get feedback. One, the feedback that you're actually doing it, or if you're not doing it, and you can course correct, you need the feedback to course correct, right? And you will develop more awareness for how it is affecting you. The big advantage, and I do this with all my clients, like coaching clients, I always invite them to reflect on how their positive behavior changes in their life, how they are impacting the quality of their life. Because if you make that connection, then it inspires you. You get inspired and you get motivated. You're like, wow, there is a real shift happening. Like I'm making these tweaks to my sleep and I'm feeling so much better in the morning. I'm less grumpy at work or with my family, you know. I'm more productive. Suddenly I have energy in the evening to do things, to meet people, or to work on whatever project is important to you. And when you see that connection, it is going to add fuel to that fire of change that you are sparking with this. And of course, in the beginning, there's like some vision. Like I said, with the people who are like they're working out because they want to have the beach body. They're like, yeah, I want to be slim on the beach, looking really good, right? Yes, it's a... What is going on? I didn't do that. There was a raindrop. They have this very specific vision. So see what is your vision. What are you working towards? Maybe what's the identity you want to grow into? Maybe you want to be an entrepreneur, right? You want to grow into that independent entrepreneur energy. Maybe you want to be a writer. That's one of my identities, right? See what the image is, and then you can design an experiment to tweak the variables. And in the end, you will get a lot of insight about yourself, what's good for yourself, what's not so good for yourself, and a lot of motivation to actually do it. And by setting this clear time frame, saying, I'm going to do it from whatever, next week Monday to next week Friday, you have this effect, what I mentioned earlier, that it's basically in your calendar, and the clarity helps you to actually execute and make it happen. Not like the people that say, yes, someday I'm going to lose weight, someday I'm going to stop smoking, but they never actually do it because they don't make it specific and they have no clear goal and no strong enough reason basically to do it. So yeah, that was my rant on how to design an experiment in your life to change your behavior, move in the direction that you want your life to go, grow in your life. And I will, like I said, I will post below this how I'm running my own experiment. Maybe you can take some inspiration, pick a thing or two, or you design your own experiment. So I hope that this was helpful, that you can use something from this. And I can say that it's amazing. It gives you an amazing sense of confidence also, that you know I can change my behavior, I can shape my life. I cannot shape other people and make them do what I want to do necessarily, but I have control to a certain extent and to an increasing extent over my own thoughts and over my own behavior. And that's very empowering. And I hope that you got something from this. Have an amazing day. Good luck and great success with your experiment. I hope you will learn a lot, and take care.